I am recording it. So the answer is going to be 5 over 6. The way that we get that 5 over 6, following the steps, and then seeing why those steps work with our chocolate bar examples again. The first thing says you need a common denominator. The denominator is the bottom part of your fraction. And right now, our denominators are 2, because we have 1/2, and 3, because we have 1/3. Now, what we do is we change 1/2 to an equivalent fraction that's equal to it, and we change 1/3 to an equivalent fraction that's equal to that one, so that our denominators are the same. So when we go through our 2 times table and we go through our 3 times table, we see that you could get them the same if the bottom was 6. I can make the bottom in this first one 6 by multiplying the 2 by 3. And if I multiply the bottom by 3, I need to multiply the top by 3 to keep it an equivalent fraction. And so my 1/2 changes to 3 over 6. Do you agree that 1/2 and 3 over 6 are the same thing? Yes. And if I wanted my second fraction to also have a denominator of 6, I would need to multiply my 3 by 2. And if I multiply the top by 2 as well, I'm going to get 2/6. And 2/6 is equivalent to 1/3. Once your denominators are the same, you are now allowed to add your fractions together, and you only add the tops. So 3 plus 2, or the numerators, is 5, and now you have 5/6. It says in step 4 we need to reduce this to lowest terms, but in this case it's already in lowest terms, so 5 over 6 is our answer. Now these are the steps, but if the steps don't make sense to you, it's going to be hard for you to remember them. Now why do we do this, and what's actually happening? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this exact same example using chocolate bars and see if the idea of what's happening makes sense with your chocolate bars as well. Yes?
How do you put it into those terms if it was like a bigger number?
You would have to see if the top number and the bottom number both divided by something. So if your final answer you got was 10 over 12, both the 10 and the 12 can be divided by 2. And if you do that, if you divide 10 by 2, you get 5. 12 by 2, you get 6. And then you would check again. Is there a number that I can divide my top number by and my bottom number? And if there isn't any number, then you know that you're in lowest terms. But you'll have to keep on checking until you're like, okay, I know that I can't divide them by the same thing, so I'm in lowest terms. So we're going to do this example again, 1/2 plus 1/3 if we had chocolate bars. So we're going to imagine we have a chocolate bar here. And we have another chocolate bar here. And this chocolate bar, we have half of it. And this chocolate bar came in pieces of 3. And we have only one of those pieces left. Now, the reason we can't add these pieces together, well, if someone said, how many pieces of chocolate bar, you would say, well, I have 2 pieces, but they're different sizes. If you were going to share with your friends, someone would say, I want the green one because it's bigger than the red one. So the reason we have to get a common denominator is we could say, well, if I took my chocolate bar with the green piece here, and instead of having this cut in half, if I took my knife out and cut each of these pieces into 3, then my chocolate bar would have 6 pieces to begin with. And if I took my chocolate bar over here and cut each of these pieces in half, then this chocolate bar would also have 6 pieces. And now my pieces are the same size. So in this one, now in my green chocolate bar, I have 3 out of 6 pieces left. And in my red chocolate bar, I have 2 out of 6 pieces left. And now since the pieces are all the same size, if you combine them together in one new chocolate bar that had space for 6 pieces, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1/6 of a chocolate bar left. So the idea of fractions is the idea that you can only add things together and talk about them if they're the same size. Because if we just talked about pieces, the green piece was bigger than the red piece to begin with. But once we separate them into the same size, and that's what the common denominator does, is it says we could cut things up smaller so that we had the same amount of pieces in each chocolate bar. Then our pieces would be the same size. So our 1/2 is the same as having 3 of 6 pieces. And our 1/3 is the same as having 2 of 6 pieces. And now our pieces are the same size, so that's why we can say, how many pieces in total do you have? I have 5 pieces, and one of the things we talked about previously is that when you have a fraction, the top number stood for how many pieces you would have, and the bottom number tells you about the size of the pieces, or the number of pieces to make a whole one. You need 6 pieces to make a whole chocolate bar. So when we put 1/2 of a chocolate bar plus of 1/3 of a chocolate bar together, we still don't have a full chocolate bar. We have almost a full chocolate bar because we have 5 out of 6 of a chocolate bar.